Marion Island. Approximately halfway between South Africa and Antarctica. One of two Prince Edward Islands in the southern Indian Ocean. It's a harsh environment, with a mean annual temperature of 4 degrees and constant strong winds. These islands are inhospitable, and only a few are adapted to survive here. Both islands have been declared special nature reserves, and the resident penguin, seabird, and seal colonies see no more than 100 humans a year on these isolated volcanic protrusions. The only way to get here is by ship, the SA Aghulhas 2, and once a year it brings a handful of people to work a 13-month stint on Marion and take the presiding group back to South Africa. As the island has no harbor, the big ship moors offshore and personnel are transported to the base camp by air. For the newcomers, this is their first view of their new home. Most of the personnel are researchers collecting data on the fauna and flora of these unique subantarctic islands.
Everything that we know and have around us and that we understand how it functions improves our lives. And understanding the world at large and all its components helps us to better support ourselves as a species, but also to better take care of this environment that we depend on. Specifically Marion Island, research related to seals and to killer whales, which is what we do there. This gives us very good ideas about what's going on in the oceans surrounding the islands, but in the broader Southern Ocean as well, which is essentially the conveyor belt for all the world's oceans. So changes that take place in the Southern Ocean can be seen as early warning signals for what might be going on in the rest of the world's oceans. And obviously the oceans depict what the climate's going to be like anywhere in the world globally. And so understanding changes in the oceans at the top predator level can give us some ideas about what's happening with the ecosystem in general.
Dr. Nico de Bruyn is the principal investigator for one of the longest running research projects in this faraway land, the Marion Island Marine Mammal Program, or the MIMP as it is locally known. This University of Pretoria initiative collects data on specifically elephant seals and 2 fur seal species that make use of the volcanic beaches for breeding and molting, as well as the population of killer whales that follows the seals to Marion Island. The MIMP is one of the largest marine mammal programs of its kind in the world, and what sets it apart from other marine mammal research programs is that data has been collected on seals for over 30 years on a daily basis in both summer and through the harsh winters.
The longer that you continue collecting data for individuals, and for the more individuals you do that, the more confident you can become in seeing patterns in a population. And patterns really is what we're interested in, patterns and trends. Because over time, a trend is a super valuable item in any study for that matter. If you take climate change, for example, we know that the climate has been doing X for 100 years. All of a sudden, over 2 years, it's not doing X anymore. That's different. So the trend has suddenly changed. A pattern has changed. Straight away, we can ask questions related to exactly why has that change taken place. And that is why we continue doing research for so long with these individuals, because the data becomes exponentially more valuable.
Every year, the MIMP program sends in a fresh batch of field researchers to take over from the previous data collection group. These are once-in-a-lifetime job opportunities and comprise of 2 or 3 sealer field personnel who mainly focus on seals.
Die routine van 'n sealer wissel baie deur die jaar. Dit hang af van die seisoene. So basies in die winter toe ons daar aangekom het, die grootste werk wat ons toegehad het is om die sensusse van die olifantrobbe aan die gang te hou.
A census of southern elephant seals which are currently tagged at birth, following which we recite the tagged information.
And the guys are walking thousands of kilometers, literally, around that island to every beach to check every elephant seal that comes out for the presence of tags in its hind flippers that we would have placed when it was a pup. And if there are tags, then noting down all sorts of details associated with that.
Waar hulle presies is, wat hulle geslag is, en dan hoeveel diere ook ongemerk is.
Following which we log that into a computer and have that data available for further analysis.
So that's a large proportion of the sealer's work. It's the mark recapture experiment. Of course, there's a lot of fur seal work as well, and that relates to weighing of little pups throughout the year, because fur seals have a different cycle. So there's pups at Marion Island for a large part of the year.
Ons het 3 stande waar ons elke maand die kleintjies weeg. Dit is om te bepaal hoe goed hulle groei en hoe effektief die ma's hulle voer dan basies.
Along with all other data collected by the sealers, tracking devices are also placed on individual seals. But in order to put a device on a large elephant seal, one has to immobilize it first, as these hulky animals can move surprisingly fast.
Nou die ding van die olifantrobbe, vir al daai bulle, hulle is so groot, dat hulle, as hulle regop staan, kan hulle amper jou beet kry, jy weet, hulle beweeg redelik vinnig. Mense dink omdat hulle so groot is, kan daai diere nie beweeg nie, maar hulle is vinnig.
The tracking devices are glued on with an epoxy resin that comes off during their annual molt, and the sealers can then retrieve the data. This gives scientists an idea of where the seals go to feed and what their activities entail once they leave the shore. But for every answer the scientists uncover, 2 more questions follow. Yet finding the answers is not the end goal for the researchers. The MIMP is looking at much bigger questions that affect not just the island and its inhabitants, but the whole human race and the world as we know it.